Hi, my name is Sid. I'm an educationist and technologist. I've been working with different universities in Asia for past 20 years. It is my passion and quest that all curriculums for the university students in Asia are updated and not obsolete. Let me ask a quick question to all of you. Is today's higher education going to be tomorrow's education? I hear an overwhelming no. Absolutely. We can no longer rely on traditional educational models. The way I have designed this presentation is out of my 20 years teaching thousands of students across Asia. I have collected the feedback. I've spoken to a lot of educational administrators, faculties, and of course the students. And based on that, I've drawn some observations and feedback as to how we can reform and improve the higher education model for Asian universities and institutions. There are various other factors also why a country's or a university's higher education system needs to be reformed. I have pulled out some very selective and not exhaustive points here. An effective higher education system contributes to a country's international competitiveness. Technology growth is massive, and most of the universities in Asia are playing up a catch-up game when it comes to higher education, making sure their curriculums are regularly updated. The feedback I have received from various universities with whom, of course, I work closely is that most of the technology curriculums are obsolete by at least 6 to 12 years, which means even if we take the bare minimum of 6 years, if a student goes on after his education to the real world, he will have to go through massive training and learnings from the corporate or private sector job that he takes up. Also, if a university and an institution's curriculum is not updated, it may also be difficult to achieve rapid global integration, which is very, very important from Asian perspective. The good news is progress has been made in last 3 decades, increasing the size and diversity of Asia's higher education system. However, we have a long way to go. There is still room for improvement in the quality of the higher education system. Some of the pointers that I found about which areas are good for development in terms of higher education systems include governance, programs, regular cadence, curriculum, teaching methods, academic culture, faculty qualifications, and physical infrastructure. When I talk about faculty qualification, I want to be very clear. These are not the degrees that count. It's the faculty's overall experience and exposure to the real world outside an academic institute. When we look at assessments, both assessments and standards should be improved. Normally what happens is when a student joins a university, the assessments come after a few months. We need assessments which are constant in nature. Making faculty members more effective is another part. Having regular cadence of faculty members with thought leaders, innovators, and industry is most important in making sure that whatever education is imparted to students in the classroom is current. The discussions in the classroom are current. In fact, if thought leaders, innovators, and industry provide mentorship to the faculty in terms of them being experts and guiding the faculty as to what's happening in the industry, that would work a lot better. Then there are different things that faculties could improve on, like problem-solving skills, teamwork, critical thinking, and creative approach. These should be stressed more. And also in the classroom, in terms of evaluation of a student, if things like problem-solving skills, teamwork, critical thinking, creative approaches are given weightage, the overall evaluation and assessment in the universities will go through a change. The educators should develop teaching and active learning skills that will endure in a changing environment. By active learning skills, what I mean is that they handhold the students right from the beginning in a regular way and not just jump to formal assessments. It will require a two-way dialogue between a student and a faculty to go through the active learning skills. Another of my observation has been on the value of basics. For example, students in most of the universities in Asia, they don't differentiate between similar sounding technologies. For example, artificial intelligence, how is it different from machine learning? Machine learning, how is it different from deep learning? These are the basics If the basics are put strongly to students across the university's curriculum, the foundation will come out to be very, very strong. There is greater need for formative assessment than for one-time assessments. There's a need for a constant involvement of faculty in a student's development. One of the things I heard post-pandemic from a lot of students was about learning from anywhere. Students came to me and said that during the pandemic time, they were able to do distance learning. But now, after the pandemic, the universities or the institutions are demanding 80 to 90% of attendance. Well, this could flip both ways, but let's take example of a marine biologist from Bali. In Bali, a marine biology student is closest to nature among the coral reefs and into a practical lab, a literal practical lab. But the university wants him back in a place which is hounded by big buildings and there's no practical marine biology lab there. That's the reason students should also have some flexibility somewhere when it comes to learning from anywhere. Another and most important aspect that came as a feedback from students was about early age and regular internships. Most of the students, especially undergrad students in Asian universities whom I spoke to, either have had zero internships, or if they have done internship, it's because it's part of the assessment, a compulsory course credit internship, which means that it was just a formality. The moment we start involving students in early age and regular internships, it's going to be a changed world. Students will start getting involved with the real world outside, and this would bring great enhancements to the education system of Asia. Again, my name is Sid, and I'm passionate about making sure all the university curriculums and courses are updated with the latest materials and nothing is obsolete in any university or institution in Asia. Thank you so much.